Alright, so today is a very important week for academic writing. You basically have to know what kind of sources that you should read in order to write academically. So today I'm gonna let you know how to read critically, and also how to evaluate good sources, and how to write discussion and argument essays. And if you have time, I'm gonna let you know how to spot generalization. Okay, so we're gonna focus on these four parts. But let's start with the critical reading skill. There, hold on.
Preparatory reading must be done promptly, because without it, students will not fully benefit from attending lectures and seminars. And most writing tasks also require extensive background reading. Academic texts often include unfamiliar vocabulary and are written in a formal style, which makes them harder to understand. This means that students need to learn special reading methods in order to cope with the large volume of material. Since it's impossible to read every word published on a topic, students must learn to choose carefully what to read and then study it thoroughly. The best approach combines several reading techniques.
Right, in order to write academically on a given topic, you probably have to read more than 5 books or like articles or any of the like materials, you know. That's just the basic background reading. And since we can't really read them all, you basically have to know like good reading techniques, good reading skills to find the best sources for your writing, as well as to pick and choose the best materials out of the reasons that you're doing. So we're gonna see what are those steps for critical reading skills. All right.
Step 1. Reading the title and subtitle. Carefully read the title and subtitle to understand the subject and focus on the text. Step 2. Survey the text features. Look at the abstract and the table of contents and the index to see scope and structure. Step 3. Skim for the gist. Quickly skim through the text to grasp the main ideas and decide to whether it is relevant. Step 4. Scan for details. Search for specific information such as names, dates, and keywords linked to your topic. Step 5. Read extensively. Read useful sections in greater depth to build understanding and collect information. Step 6. Read intensively. Study closely and make detailed notes on key points, arguments, and evidence.
Right, so last week we actually did the library cataloging to actually see and find the suitable resources for our writing. So say you're given either a reading list, or you actually found a list of publications that you want to read, and there are like 20 of them. Just too much, right? So before you actually choose what to read, you basically have to go through reading the titles carefully, right? So the first step is to read the title and also the publication date. So the latest publications actually heed more attention from you, because it has more advanced and more latest information related with the topic, right? So you see the publication date and also the title. And a lot of academic articles and books, they have subtitles. So they have title and then colon and the subtitles. So you basically read the titles carefully. And if the titles pertain to the topic of your writing very closely, then you go into C and read the abstract. So abstract is a summary. It's like a one paragraph summary of the whole material. And normally it has the purpose of the article, and also the main point, and if it's an experiment, and it has the method and results, and also the implication of the study or the paper for the field. So you read carefully the abstract, And also, if it's a book, if it's a longer sort of writing, then it always has the table of contents. So you guys have to read table of contents very carefully, because you basically have to pick and choose only the chapters relevant to your writing. All right. So the title is very important, but you go into reading the abstract if it's a journal article, or if it's a book, then you go into reading the table of contents very carefully. And at the end of the book, it has index of important words. All right. So say you have to write an essay about climate change, then you actually go to the index, which is normally at the end of the book, and find out the climate change, and it has page numbers. And you can actually just go into reading the page numbers cited over there. So that's why it's very important that you go through the table of contents and also the index, which is at the end of the book. And then after you actually went through like abstract table of contents and index, and you sort of have a basic idea about what the book or the article is about, and you decide if you want to read, you have decided in your mind that, oh, this is the reading that I have to do, then you actually go into reading either the paper or the book in detail. Right. Oh yeah, it's not working very well, right? Yeah. So, and then you basically have to skim through the whole text to see and find the right sources for your topic. And when you actually scan and skim through the details, you have to find the names and dates and keywords that are related with your topic. All right. So if you spot the keywords, normally for your essay question, we actually did the exercise pointing out what are the keywords in the essay question. So you basically have to go through, you skim through the whole article or the book, and you spot the keywords or important names or the figures or important data out of your essay prompt, and you go into read those sections in more detail. So can I actually change? Yes. Right, and afterwards you basically find out the key sort of page numbers that you want to read in detail, and you go into, so if say you're reading a book which is like more than 200 pages long, right? It's long. And rather than reading the whole book, you actually write down the relevant pages, right? So, and to pinpoint, to choose the relevant pages, you basically have to see the names and dates and keywords linked with the pages, right? And then you go in there and then you actually read like from page 15 to 20, and then from page 50 to 55, and from page 150 to 160. So you write down these pages and you go into the pages and you read them in detail, right? And then after you read, you can actually take notes on the margin of the book or the print materials, or you can actually leave notes on the computer, the Word doc and stuff like that, like any type of notebooks. You can just read the notes on the details that you want to use for your writing. So this is the step that you can actually read for the title, for the books or the materials that you pick and choose for your academic writing. So you don't have to follow these steps step by step, but then just remember that you don't have to read them all. And if you really want to focus on the stuff that you want to read in detail, then you should be able to know how to find them, right? And very important that you read abstract, table of contents, and index carefully, and then pick and choose the page numbers that you want to focus on, and you read those pages in in a lot of detail, and afterwards you leave notes, or you take notes. And then you actually use the notes taking, what you have written down for your notes for your academic writing. So this is how you actually read in order to write, okay? All right, who's next? Can you just,
or general text, it is very important to distinguish between facts and opinions. A fact is a statement that can be proven true or false. For example,
Kuala Lumpur.
Kuala Lumpur is the capital of Malaysia. An opinion is a statement that reflects personal belief or judgment, often using adjectives. For example, Kuala Lumpur is a welcoming, bustling city. Readers should be cautious when a text contains frequent opinions because this may show the writer's bias. It is also important to check whether the facts presented are actually true. For example, Singapore lies near the equator is true, while Singapore was an ancient trading port is false. Sometimes facts and opinions are mixed together in the same sentence. For instance, the island state of Singapore, home to nearly 6 million people, is a lively, thriving place, combines two factual statements with an opinion. Readers must be especially careful with text that presents unsupported opinions or questionable facts, as this can mislead or weaken an argument.
Right. If you're writing a literature essay, this doesn't really matter. But you're actually writing an academic essay, which is normally like discussion essay or argumentative essay. So for the case of academic writing, actually being able to distinguish facts and opinions is very important, because you basically have to try to convey only the right facts or the true facts. In order to improve the credibility and reliability of your academic writing, it's very important that you try to contain only the true facts, or the true facts as much as possible. So the facts are defined as statements which can be proven either true or false, right? Whereas opinions are more like beliefs or emotions. So it's something that you can't actually say this is true or not, And a lot of the cases, opinions include adjectives. So, if you were to say Singapore is a city, then it's a statement which can be proven either true or false, so it's a fact. But if you say, Singapore is a bustling city, then it has an adjective added, and it becomes an opinion because it has a qualifier bustling, right? So one simple sentence can be a fact or opinion according to what kind of adjectives the sentence has, right? And sometimes the sentence can have both facts and opinions. To say, the island state of Singapore, home to nearly 6 million people, is a lively, thriving place. So this is one sentence. So in this sentence, what is fact? What is fact here? The island state of Singapore, home to nearly 6 million people, is a lively, thriving place. What is fact here? Lively, thriving place is a fact?
Kuala Lumpur is the capital of Malaysia.
We're reading this sentence. In this sentence, what is fact?
This.
Yeah, this sentence.
The island
Exactly. So, Urenas just said it's home to nearly 6 million people. It has a population of 6 million people. That's fact. But then,
opinion. It's fact.
yeah, it's fact. But what is opinion? Exactly, lively, thriving place. Because some people might think that Singapore is a very dull city, dull place. It's not fun, right? So it's an opinion, right? So you have to be able to distinguish facts and opinion. And we're going to do the exercise now. Okay, let's turn to page 39. Okay, page 39, please. Oh, before we do that, can we go to page 38? 38. Yeah, it has a diagram. So it says choosing suitable texts, and it has diagram. So we have some 3 blank boxes. Can you fill up the 3 blank boxes here? Let's have the, can you do it again? All right, so read title and subtitles carefully. Afterwards, what do we have to do? Yeah, what are the examples of the text features that we have to pay attention to? abstract, table of contents, and index, right? And afterwards, you skim text for gist, or you scan text for what? Yeah, to decide what you need to read, right? So you have to pay attention to names, dates, and keywords. And afterwards, you basically read extensively for the useful sections. And afterwards, you read extensively. What do you have to do? The last one? Yeah, so you have to read intensively to know the key points and make notes, right? So this step is very sort of broad, but try to follow the steps, when reading. I mean, it's gonna actually help you a lot. I mean, this is how I did for my academic writing when I was in Oxford. I mean, I didn't study the textbook, but I think it gives you a very good sort of generalized step to read for academic writing. All right, let's go to page 39. And we have A and B here, right? Can you see, right? So can you, okay, so it has 4 sentences here. So please write down whether this is an opinion or a fact, okay? And if it's a fact, then say whether it's a true fact or false fact. So write down whether it has an opinion or fact, and if it's a fact, then decide whether it's true fact or a false fact. Okay, let's have a look. Whose turn is it? Hungis. It's your turn. Okay. A. Australia is a dynamic, prosperous, and enterprising country. Is it a fact or opinion?
Is it fact?
Fact! Opinion! Dynamic, prosperous. Somebody might think it's not dynamic. I don't think it's dynamic, is it? So, I mean, people might have a different opinion as to whether Australia is a dynamic country or not. Some people might think that it's, I mean, Korea is very dynamic, but it's rather sort of, I don't know, like, yeah, it's not as dynamic, it's quiet, So, I mean, so people might have different opinions, right? So this is opinion. B, the majority of Australians live on sheep farms. Is it a fact or opinion?
It's fact.
Yeah, it's fact. Is it a true fact or a false fact?
False fact.
False. Right. I think majority of them actually live in cities, right? Yeah. C. Australia is the largest island in the world and has extensive mineral deposits. Is it a fact or opinion? Fact. Yes. Is it a true fact or false fact?
False.
True fact. True. What is false? What is false? You don't think it's the largest island in the world? Australia?
Greenland is the largest.
Greenland. No, Australia is the largest island. D. Among the 22 million Australians are some of the world's best cricket players. Is it a true or, is it a fact or opinion?
Opinion. Fact.
Yes, it's a combination of fact and opinion. So what is fact? 22 million Australians, right? So 22 million population, that's fact. What will be the opinion? What is opinion here? Very good. Because best, what do you mean by best? The highest scoring or most popular? So people might have different opinions, so that's why it's a combination. Okay, let's do, B, I was gonna do this, but then it's quite difficult. So let's skip this one. Because we don't really know much about Australia. I think the author is Australian or something. So, all right. Okay, so you can look at the comparison table. I just compared facts and opinions. So it's just for convenience. Okay, and the next step is we actually see a lot of internet sources, online sources, and we have to be able to distinguish whether it's a reliable source or not. So we'll see what are the reliable sources online. Whose turn is it? Is Chinggis? Yeah.
thinking involves questioning the ideas, examining the evidence, identifying bias, and testing the logic of arguments. It's important to use only credible and reliable evidence to support arguments.
Right, so these criteria are actually applied not only for online sources, but like offline sources as well. So you always have to question the ideas or the assumptions, and also you have to be able to examine the evidence, whether the supporting ideas or the supporting evidence has a reliable like statistics or like a numbers, and where the statistics or the data have come from. And basically, in order to see whether this has a good argumentation, you have to see the flow of ideas and whether it has good backing or support of like different evidence from like different sources to back up the argument. But this actually applies not only for online sources but for offline sources as well. So these are the questions that you can ask, especially for online sources. Can you read on?
Who is responsible for this website?
Right.
Is it controlled by an academic body or is it run commercially to sell the product? Does it have a political and religious bias? Is the name of the auditor given and is she well known in the field? Is the language of the text in suitable academic style? Are there any obvious errors in the text, for example, factual mistakes or incorrect spelling, which suggest a careless approach? Is material up to date? Is there advertising on the website?
Right, so if you were to see whether the online sources that you're looking at are reliable, then you basically have to see the author of the website. In a lot of cases, the author of the materials written in the website is not very clear. So if it has a clear name, clear origin, or clear name of the institution or the individual of the person or the institution which has produced the materials on the website, and it's half actually, basically it says, I am reliable in a way, So if it has a clear identification of the name of the institution or the individual who has produced the website, then it's a good sign that it's reliable. And the better, the more established the author or the publisher of the website is, is more reliable you are. And if it's run by an established institution such as university or like academic institution or like government institution, most of the cases the website is reliable. And also a lot of those websites are made commercially. So if you can spot any advertisements, it's a warning sign. Because a lot of these commercially driven websites, they can actually only highlight or showcase materials or the data or the statistics that are favorable for their own cause, right? So it's not many times it's not as objective as like sources provided by academic or government or like or other sort of international institutions. So you have to be very careful, right, to see who is the author of the website, who is which one is the publisher of the website. And a lot of cases, if it's from sort of the public sources, then it's more reliable. But at the same time, even though it's from the public sources, you have to see whether it has a political or religious affiliation. Because if it has strong political or religious affiliations, most of the time they only upload information that's favorable towards their own cause, or like religious cause or political cause. So it might have a strong bias, religiously or politically. So that's why you have to be very careful. And also, if you can spot grammatical or spelling mistakes, then most of the cases it's not a good source. It's not a good website. So especially when you look at the websites, you have to see whether they have good grammar and good, academic style. And the reason that we are studying all these different stylistic, errors and effects and opinions, the reason that we're studying is to see whether the sources that we're looking at are reliable, whether we can actually use the sources for our own writing. Okay, so very important. And also, you have to see, when the data publication. For a lot of online sources, they have like a date written at the bottom, and you can see, so this was uploaded in like 2024 or 2021. So you can see, but then even so, it's not as reliable as in like publication like books or journal articles. So you have to be quite careful. But just asking these questions is very important, okay? So by asking all these questions in detail, you can actually evaluate whether the sources that I'm looking at online are reliable or not. Okay, let's go to page 40 and do some exercise again. All right, so we have two texts here in the middle. So compare these two online texts, A and B, about a pharmaceutical company, Evergreen. Underline facts and opinions as before, and discuss with a partner which seems more reliable. Which text? Yeah, which text is more reliable? All right, Okay, let's have a look. Paulson, which one do you think is more reliable?
Text B.
Why?
Because after each sentence, they are giving examples and providing
Give more
providing
Very good.
facts,
Yeah, it's numbers.
numbers.
Yeah, so yes, they give you a lot more details. But then if you want to make it more reliable, then you have to provide sources. Say the IMF document says blah blah blah, or World Bank publication says blah blah blah. All right. So to back up the number, and if you can provide reliable source of information, then it actually enhances the credibility.
looks like more official.
Yeah. So because it's got a lot more numbers inside. Okay. So we've looked at how we can actually spot the more reliable sources online. But then when we actually come across writing, then we have to be able to ask a lot of questions to decide whether the information cited over there is reliable or not. Right? So we've looked into whether the sources that we're looking at, whether online or offline, are reliable, and also very important that when you read either the book or the journal article, whatever materials that you're reading, you have to see whether the information, the facts and opinions, and what you're reading is credible. And for that you have to be able to do critical thinking. That's what critical thinking is for. Especially for your academic writing, to gather really good information to use in your writing. All right, whose turn is it?
Critical thinking goes beyond memorization because it involves questioning and analysis. The skills of critical thinking include examining assumptions, testing logic and consistency, and considering multiple perspectives. The main aim of critical thinking is to remain objective and evidence-based.
Right, so for critical thinking, always testing assumptions is very important. A lot of cases you won't know right now because you're just freshmen, but as you read on and on and on, as you become more experienced in your reading, you will actually be able to discern whether the author is actually basing his opinion upon, or his argument upon, some of the assumptions. You can actually uncover what those assumptions are, and then you can actually see whether those assumptions are true or false. And also, a lot of cases, if you want to write well, and if you want to read well, understand well, you have to be able to understand multiple perspectives within the writing. What do you do? Right? Within the writing. So understanding different perspectives in your writing is very, very important. And for that purpose, you have to be able to ask the following questions. Can you read on?
What are the key ideas in this? Does the argument of the writer develop logically and step by step? Are the examples given helpful? Would other examples be better? Does the author have any bias, learning to one side or the other side, or the other? Does the evidence presented seem reliable? In my experience, do I agree with the writer's view?
Right. So basically, these questions ask you to see and evaluate what are the key ideas, what are the key arguments within the writing, within the sources that you're reading, and basically you analyze whether they actually give you good evidence, good supporting details, or good supporting statistics or data to back up their argument. And for that, they have to be able to provide you with a multiple perspectives, and for that, like for multiple sort of evidences to back up the different perspectives and arguments. And then afterwards, they can actually conclude at the end, okay, based on this evidence, this perspective is the best, right? So that's how the logic flows. And we're going to see how we can actually employ argument and counter-argument to build up your logic, okay? Okay, let's do some exercise for critical thinking as well. Let's go to page 41. And it says, read critically the following two articles, 5.1, 5.2 on universities. And after you read two articles, 5.1, 5.2, you basically list any statements from article 5.1, 5.2 that you find unreliable. Okay, so if you go to page 42, not page 41, yeah, page 42, can you find, yeah, they have a box, right, tables, and you find any unreliable statements from article 5.1 and 5.2, and then in comment section, write down why they are unreliable, okay? So read two articles and find any unreliable sentences, and then comment why they are unreliable, okay?